Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Zach, and this is We Are Lucid. In my last video, I mentioned that I would be completing a 3-day water fast, during which I would not consume any calories for more than 72 hours. Well, last week I successfully completed this fast, and in today's video, I will share with you my experience over the course of those 72 hours, as well as my reasons for fasting in the first place. Because I'm sure a lot of you think I'm crazy, and a lot of this probably sounds foreign to you if you're not experienced with fasting. So, before we get to that, I just want to address something. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this new pill that was just released, which is scientifically proven to prevent and kill cancer, as well as reverse diabetes. It also has been shown to successfully lower high blood pressure. It gets rid of inflammation in the body, so arthritis, joint pain, migraines. It boosts your immune system. It clears out your digestive system successfully and gets rid of autoimmune diseases like IBS and eczema, skin problems, dry skin, acne. It increases brain stem cell production, which is pretty cool, which allows you to form new neural connections and increasing the amount of cells you have in your brain. It increases HGH, which is human growth hormone, which allows you to create new healthy tissues and is a major factor in the aging process. So more HGH means you age more slowly, which is huge. There's like no side effects. This pill is absolutely incredible. Usually there's like a list of, hundreds of potential side effects and hormonal interactions leading from nausea to vomiting to even coma or death. They have a robot reading off 95% of the commercial, speaking 5,000 words a minute of side effects, and not in this case. This pill is absolutely incredible, and I'm sure it would sell for a ton of money. This is like the greatest pill ever. I'm sure it would sell for so much money, and people would pay it too, right? Like, if you're preventing and killing cancer, if you're reversing diabetes, if you're getting rid of arthritis and inflammation and other inflammatory diseases, you're reversing IBS, people would pay so much money for this drug if it existed. It doesn't exist. You can't buy this pill, guys. It's not real. You cannot consume anything and reverse cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure. But better, by not consuming anything, by fasting from food, from calories, by not eating anything, your body naturally does these things. I'll say that again. When you do not consume calories and you fast for more than 24 hours, your body naturally fights off cancer, reverses diabetes by increasing insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, and increases brain stem cell production, as well as many other things. That's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Hey guys, so originally I was hoping to condense everything I know about fasting, its physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual effects into one video, but I started writing out the script and it is just going to be way too long. So this video is going to be the first of a few different parts, and this video is going to be mainly focused on the physical effects of fasting. That is, the effects of fasting on the body specifically. So what is fasting? In the context of this video, we're referring to fasting from food. So fasting is simply the period of time during which you're not consuming calories. Fasting is not starvation, though. When someone is starving, they don't know when their next meal is coming, and this comes with severe psychological and consequently physiological stress. Starvation is not a healthy state to be in. I truly hope that none of us ever have to experience real starvation. But sadly, it's an unfortunate reality for hundreds of millions of people across the world. Fasting, on the other hand, is a choice to abstain from calories for physical, mental, emotional, and/or spiritual health. In our not-so-distant past, we still didn't even have supermarkets, fast food joints, refrigerators, and Grubhub providing us food immediately and at our fingertips. Instead, we had to hunt and gather for our food, and food was never promised. We often had to walk long distances, following herds of animals and different growing seasons, moving with the climates and different weather, just trying to find animals to hunt and plants to gather and eat. Often we'd go days or even weeks without meals, and our bodies had to adapt to these long periods of fasting. If our bodies didn't adapt to fast, we wouldn't be here today. In order to understand what changes occur in the body during a fast, we have to understand what's happening metabolically while we're not fasting. So our body is using glucose for fuel, because if you're not actively monitoring how many grams of carbs you're eating per day, and you're eating over 40 per day, which is super easy to do. You can almost get 40 grams of carbs just from vegetables in a salad, and if you're having any sort of fruit, you're essentially going to have more than 40 grams of carbs per day. So, we're burning glucose for fuel, and this is stored in the body in our liver as glycogen. Our muscles also hold on to glycogen, and they're used during intense exercise, like when we're sprinting or when we're weight training heavily, but not during walking, jogging, swimming. That's when our body uses oxygen during aerobic exercise, which is why it's called aerobic exercise. When we use our glycogen as fuel, it's called anaerobic exercise. So our muscles always have glycogen full. After an intense workout, we might deplete some of that, and then it will be transferred by either the food we eat or through our liver, and then that glycogen will be replenished in our muscles. But once our muscles are full, which they usually are, full of glycogen, then we store these carbs in our liver, and we can store about 100 grams of carbs in our liver. Maybe a little more, but let's call it 100. So we store 100 grams of carbs in our liver. 100 grams of carbs is really not much. That's maybe like a bowl of pasta, a bowl of rice, a couple potatoes. So all of the carbs that are not stored in our liver are stored on our body as body fat, especially around that liver area, which is why people that have a ton of carbs in their diet generally have a lot of belly fat. So our body's still using glucose for fuel, and our metabolism is still burning some calories just so we breathe, so we're able to move, so we can think. So even if we were to stay in bed all day, we'd still burn some glucose. And our liver would lose all of its, let's say, 100 grams of carbs in about 36 hours. So in about a day and a half to 2 days, we'd burn through all of our liver glycogen. Now, if we work out, that number might shrink down to 15 hours or 20 hours. But for the most part, it's going to take a day and a half to 2 days to burn through your liver glycogen. Once that happens, now your body's like, okay, we're all out of liver glycogen. If we're still not eating carbs or we're still fasting, then we're going to start burning the glycogen in our muscles for energy. So a lot of people think that they're losing muscle mass, that their muscles are just melting away in the first couple days that they do keto or the first couple days that they fast. But you're not losing muscle mass. You're not losing muscle cells. It's just your muscles are losing their glycogen, their sugar, and their sugar holds onto water. So you're losing a lot of water weight in your muscles. Between days 3 and 5, we're going to completely burn through all of our muscle glycogen. And now our body's like, well, we don't have any more carbs for fuel, but we do have body fat. 1 pound of body fat is equivalent to roughly 3,600 calories, which is about 2 days worth of stored energy. So we have all this stored energy on our bodies just waiting to be tapped into, and it's the whole reason we store body fat in the first place, so we can use it for energy. Except today, we rarely use our body fat for energy, if ever, and instead we just continue to pack it on throughout our lives because we're constantly over-consuming carbohydrates. That's the reason why there's such an obesity epidemic in this country. It's because we never tap into our own body fat for fuel. So the transition between burning this glucose and burning body fat for fuel is called ketosis. And once you're in ketosis, you're just effortlessly burning your body fat for fuel. And it's interesting because even though that you've been fasting for 3 to 5 days, you'll notice that once you're in ketosis, you're not even hungry anymore because you have so much extra energy on your body as body fat that your body just burns that, and you're not requiring glucose or excess carbohydrates and outside food as energy because your body already has this energy on it. So what other metabolic changes happen in your body while you fast? Well, firstly, you're not consuming food, especially carbohydrates, so your blood sugar levels are very low, as are your insulin levels. And when your insulin levels are low for long periods of time, you become insulin sensitive. So why is this important? Insulin is one of the most important hormones in your body. In fact, it's one of 3, the other 2 being adrenaline and cortisol, that you cannot survive without. You can think of insulin as a gatekeeper molecule. When you consume food, insulin opens up your cell and it throws the nutrients in there so that your body can use that for fuel, for cellular repair. It gets the vitamins in there. So insulin is super important. But the problem is people that constantly consume food, especially carbohydrates and high glycemic index carbohydrates, like table sugar, like sodas, Gatorades, fruit juices, donuts, bagels, any sort of wheat, corn, processed grains, rice, all that stuff just spikes your insulin levels so high. And when you consume those foods a lot, your body gets sick of hearing the insulin bell ring. And this is really dangerous because now your body's insulin resistant. It's not as responsive to insulin as it used to be. And insulin resistance is type 2 diabetes. And insulin resistance has also been linked with cancer, with Alzheimer's, with high blood pressure, stroke, gout, high cholesterol. It's all linked together. So insulin is the most important hormone in your body, and you really want to be sensitive to it. So what's great is that fasting lowers your insulin levels for so long that you have no choice but to become more sensitive to it, which is why that fasting has been linked to reversing type 2 diabetes, as well as all of these other diseases like cancer, gout, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. All that goes down when we fast, which is really, really good, and it's quite amazing.